The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And this is Andy, and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
And here we are, just like that.
Good evening, world.
It's like the old days.
Like the old days.
The old, more like radio days where you could hear it in your ear while we went online.
Yeah.
Brings me back to a special time.
Right. Who has the porno ads that we have to read now?
All right, let's go to our live read. This is for wafflesluts.com.
Right.
How you guys doing?
Dark days, but we're good. Yeah.
Well, good. Mike's running a little bit late. He will join us when he is able. He said about 15 minutes, so we'll see where that ends up. And here we are.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's been gross here in California. Really hot and extremely humid.
Ooh.
And I don't like this at all. It literally over the weekend, it felt like Florida, and Florida is never a place I want to be. So.
My friend lives in Marietta, and she was telling me, she sent me a text the other day with a picture of her weather forecast. It was 106.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, at least it's not humid, as a joke. She goes, no, it's humid too. And I thought, oh my God, that's got to be just miserable.
Yep. Where I live, it was like 98 to 198 ish. And then the one time I did check the humidity, it was like 79%.
Ooh,
which is a lot for here.
That's a lot for anywhere, dude.
Yeah, well, like Florida will tell you, like, oh, we live in it's 90%. It's like, yeah, I understand, but we're dry. We're very dry all the time. So when we get humid, it feels like a lot.
Yeah,
go ahead, Andy.
It's like the South getting snow. Atlanta and parts of Texas where it's like, what the hell is this? Like, we've never seen this before. It's hilarious to anyone who has lived in a place where it snows fairly regularly during the winter months, but to see like Atlanta get like half an inch of snow and then the city burns, but humidity is another beast altogether. And it's one thing to be cold or like crazy hot, but damn humidity is just like people, you go to hell. If I go to hell and it's dry, I'll be like, thank God. Like it'll be hot down here, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, Satan, but at least it's dry down here. Okay.
Yeah. Like, as much as I didn't enjoy the Arizona heat, and people like, oh, it is a dry heat. It is.
It's still 120.
At a certain point, you're still feel like you're, a roll in the oven or something. But but when it's humid, you can just be outside, just existing, and it's just the flop sweat that's just everywhere you don't want it to be.
When we were living in Florida and in the summertime, we would go out like down to Daytona Beach or something, and I'd be like, man, I can't breathe. But I thought, well, I'm older and blah, blah, blah. And finally one day I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, I can't breathe. She's like, I can't either. I mean, it was that bad. Like it was just like you felt like you couldn't get enough air. It was so heavy.
Well, it's crazy. The function of sweat is to let the air absorb the moisture, which via some sort of process of science cools you. But with humidity, when the air is already so dense with moisture, it can't absorb that sweat. So it's like you have this blanket wrapped around you that's just stifling, just miserable.
Not good at all. But
I was just gonna say, I don't know if either of you have been to Texas in the summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I always say that the top 5 hottest places in the world are Texas at first. Number 2 is hell. And 3 like Florida, Arizona, whatever. But yeah, oh my God.
Yeah. The most humid I've ever been is in Florida. Both times that I went down there. In various spots, it all felt still gross. And then right behind it is Houston, Texas. God, that place is an armpit, and it makes you feel like it. And it just
you know what? Go to, I don't know if you consider Dallas Fort Worth like Western Texas, probably more like Central, but closer to West than Houston is for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. I was down there for a week one time when my mom lived there, and the daytime high, I don't even remember, it was some absurd number, but the low, I'm talking the low at night would be 89 degrees at night.
Yeah, no, in the south, anywhere in there, you get that familiar clicking of the bugs. On
sure.
Day. Just, I hate that sound. Just makes me feel disgusting. And
so you don't even like.
I don't even know how hot it is. I just hear that sound and I say, "Oh, no."
So you don't even like Florida and say November or January or whatever. It's just Florida in general, huh? Like as far as weather goes.
Well, I mean, every time I've been there, it's been in the summer.
Oh well, you got to go. I
think the latest I've been there is August, so that's not
the first week. Yeah, I was there. I went there to Clearwater in August one year, which is, believe it or not, it's actually hotter on the Gulf Coast than it is on the Atlantic side. Which is it's a matter of just degrees, literally at that point. Yeah. But it was so hot that, like, if you walked out of the hotel room in Clearwater, your glasses, like if you had sunglasses on, they would steam up immediately. Just it was that bad.
I think I've told the story before where I went down to Panama City and I was sitting on a bench, not doing anything.
And I lost 35 pounds.
And I was just sopping wet. It was really not fun.
I always joke that the reason it's so hot on the Gulf Coast is because the sun's only 8 miles away from the earth over there for some reason. It's crazy hot. But yeah, it's look at us. We can just do like 15 minutes on the weather, no problem, man.
See, speaking of like our dear departed friend, or at least the career of Tom Brenneman, would you say that Florida or Houston? would you say that Florida or Houston is the humidity capital of the world?
I'm going with Dallas-Fort Worth myself. I'm going off the board for my pick.
Yeah, I'd still pick Florida.
Florida's bad.
Florida's pretty bad when it comes to humidity.
But you know what? I honestly, we got to put South Carolina into this somewhere, because you do not want to be there, and well, really ever, but especially in the summer. I was driving back one time, and it was, I don't know, like 94 in Florida, but the humidity was really high. Getting to Georgia, it went up to like 96. I hit South Carolina. I'm like, I did not know that my temperature gauge in my car went to triple digits, but it does. It was like 110 outside the car in South Carolina. It was misery. But
Zach, I should ask you. Me and my wife a few weeks ago were looking at. My sister lives out in Arizona, and we were really looking to possibly move out there someday. And we were looking at property prices, and we realized it's like one of the most expensive places to live in the country. And I just have no idea why. Because if you go out there to Arizona, it's like it's a desert, and there's really not much. And I'm like, why the hell is it so expensive? Is there something? Is there silver? We need to mine for silver out here for my property.
Well, it's a copper mining state, Andy. Arizona. It's particularly around Phoenix that the prices get higher. It's been a growing place, because I think the biggest thing, what's kind of driven up the property prices in Phoenix, is the fact that it's even more expensive to live in California. And so there's plenty of people that are trying to leave California, but they don't want to go too far. Like, Arizona's it's never going to be cold. Like, yeah, it'll get hot, but it's fine. You know what? A lot of Californians leaving the high expense of living out here to go over there, and that in turn, when there's the big rush of people going over there, that builds up and builds up. And Arizona's had a housing bubble pop on it once or twice before, so I'm sure that's.
Plus, I would say that if you wanted to move to like Left Nut, Arizona, or somewhere like that, it's probably really cheap, but you're going to be out in the middle of a desert in the middle of nowhere. I know, like in Florida, it's like that. Like if you want to live in one of the nice areas, it's not really that expensive compared to like California or Arizona or whatever. I mean, obviously if you want to like beachfront on the ocean, it costs a whole lot more. But yeah, I think if you went to like Phoenix, or what's the other town out there, Tucson? I don't know if that's as expensive, but
I wouldn't go to Tucson if you paid me to, but
right.
That's for different reasons.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's the rush of other people moving out there that's really driven things up out there.
I like what Mike says. He calls it, or Phoenix, a monument to man's hubris.
Well, yeah, that's a King of the Hill quote.
Oh, we just lost Andy.
It's
there, he's back now. What the hell was that all about?
I misclicked something in the
Well, you missed the Mike's description of Phoenix, which
that's a king. I heard it. That's a King of the Hill quote.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
is, isn't it? Now that I think about it,
it's since I went to school out there 10 years ago when I first went out there, it's amazing how much has built up out there. Like the western end of town, basically Phoenix. You had Phoenix in the middle, and then to the north east was Scottsdale, and then everybody else lived to the southeast of town. And then the Coyotes built their stupid arena in the northwest of town because that's where there was open space. And the joke then was like, oh, well, everyone's going to build up out there. And then they were starting to, and then the housing bubble collapsed in about 2005 or 6, like right when they built the arena. But since then, they've expanded. They've extended new freeway loops. It's kind of amazing how many people have moved out there and are still moving out there.
I would love to go there in the winter, but to be there in the summer, I just couldn't do it. And I want to go out there. They have those roads where it goes through those big rock formations, and you know what I'm talking about. I want to ride my motorcycle down those roads, but I have no desire to live there.
It's people. It's funny. You live in Arizona in the summer the same way that you live, in Minnesota in the winter,
right?
Where you're going from heater to heater. In Arizona, you're going from air conditioner to air conditioner.
Exactly
how it goes, and really from it doesn't really start getting hot until July. And that's when it really kind of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like May and June, it's warm, but again, it's dry. So it's hot, but it's not. It doesn't feel oppressive. It really only feels like an oven about July and right now. And the fun thing about that too is you get the 120-degree days mixed in with the monsoons. So the monsoons, the dust storms. Yeah, Arizona has its own fun stuff.
I wanted to tell you, Greg, before I forget, I found a very likely nominee for either the GTOB next year or the 2020 Was Awful tournament. It kind of blends into both worlds.
Okay.
It kind of works. I'll share my screen here to kind of let you look at it.
All right, let me take down. We got Chaos Blast, our listener from way up in the northern part of, I can't remember the name of the town. All of a sudden,
wherever 12-Foot Davis resides, I think.
Wherever from 12-Foot Davis, we'll just call it that. Yeah, he's got a question for us. We'll do this first. We'll get to you, Chaos. Just hang in there.
This is very brief. So basically, go ahead and throw it up there. So in India, and this is not terribly new, but there was I'll just play the video here. This monkey was in a lab. And it broke out of the lab, stole COVID-19, blood and samples. So I don't know if you would want to say it's like COVID thieving macaque or like whatever it is. But this guy is totally a prime candidate for
absolutely
for sharing. So I wanted to do that, but I also wanted to have you guys take a look at this because and we can share it with Mike as well. But this is and Zach may have seen this, but essentially the audio is absolutely necessary. So look at this strike.
Oh yeah,
that's a ball. He calls
Get
it a ball.
the fuck out of here! Really?
I'm not even kidding you. They did the same thing the next day. There was a different umpire. They rotated around, same pitch, right down the middle of the plate, and they just said, "Yeah, no, that's a ball."
Yeah.
How in the world do you not call that a strike? I get it. Like there's really bad umpires. That Angel Hernandez is one of the most notoriously bad umps behind the plate in general. But my goodness,
the broadcaster even says that could have been the most perfect pitch ever thrown in baseball.
Yeah,
he called it a ball.
Yeah,
there's tons of these popping up. There's video of Jerry Meals, who recently just again these calls are so egregious that the broadcasters themselves are just losing their composure. You've got to be kidding me here. I get it that there's an effort to remain objective and or in some cases being crazy homers, but it must be very difficult when an umpire just so blatantly steals at bats or ruins a good pitch.
Here's always my question, because like you mentioned, the guys like Angel Hernandez. If we all know, as general baseball fans, if we know you're bad at your job, and if every manager in the league knows that you're bad at your job, and everybody on the planet can watch you call a baseball game and be like, how the hell do you have the job you have? Why do you still have the job you have? If we all collectively agree that you're bad at your job, why do you still get to keep it? Why is Angel Hernandez or guys like him still?
Do you want the short answer?
Continue his job, yeah.
The umpires union. That's simple. I don't know how hard they are to fire, but I got to think that one of the things that
not even just fire, like demote. Can't we like put him under review or something?
I don't know. I mean, that umpires union is like the second strongest union right behind the MLBPA in sports. I think. I mean, it's crazy strong. So maybe that's it because the guy is horrible. Yeah. And when you say Angel Hernandez and everybody knows who you're talking about, that even knows a little bit about baseball, that tells you how bad he is.
Right. If you know an umpire's name, that's not a good thing.
Right.
But if you say an umpire's name and everybody goes, "Ugh, that guy," like it's not good. Like if he doesn't even have like a redeeming, or not even a redeeming, but like an interesting quality like Joe West, where it's like, oh, he's Cowboy Joe West. He makes country music. Isn't that folksy?
Yeah, he's still terrible, but yeah.
Right. But at least it's like there's some endearing factor, and where Angel Hernandez is like, you're bad at your job and you don't like when people tell you you're bad at your job. So that's your other defining characteristic.
Yeah, and he is really, really bad.
So this study by Boston University, this is published in 2019, basically found overall that with a margin of like 2 to 3%, younger, like umpires in their 30s, tended to do infinitely better. Like they did the top 10 most accurate performance between 2008 and 2018. The top 10 all are in the vicinity between like 29 and 37.
Sure. Just like a player.
The bottom 10 umpires are no younger than 50.
Yeah.
And the apparently I don't in the worst 10, I don't see any of the usual suspects in here. Jerry Lane is the worst umpire according to is he even still in the league?
I don't know.
61 at the time of the study, but
that's the thing, though. Like Zach was just saying, everybody knows Angel Hernandez. Tell me who the best umpire in baseball is. We have no idea because you never hear about them.
Well, let's say the best umpires are like offensive linemen. You just never know their names. You never hear about them because they don't screw up. When you like know somebody's name, if you like a referee in basically any sport, it's again the whole concept of this. There's times when officials want to make themselves famous, and umpires have a unique ability in sports to really control a game. And even though it's probably more in a traditional sense for them to just shut up and call it as they see it, it's supposed to be a completely neutral position. But
when you got guys calling that a ball, I mean I don't know if it's the most perfect pitch in the history of baseball, but it's got to be. It's as perfect a pitch as you're going to see. I mean, that was just a fastball down the middle, right?
No, there's nothing. There was no English on it. The framing looked fine. It was just down the pipe, and that's it.
Well, that's one where you lean back and you look at the ump and say, "Was that high?"
Yeah, I would just politely turn around and go, "Okay, what did I miss?" Or if I was a catcher, I'd be like, "Okay, what was wrong with that?" Yeah, because that was one thing when I played. I never ever. I argued with umpires like twice the whole time I ever played ball. Because I learned right away that
to ask like where did that go?
Yeah, but like I learned quickly because by the two positions I played throughout, I don't want to call it a career because that makes it sound way more important than it was. But in the years that I played in baseball I was a catcher until I couldn't do it anymore, and then I played first base, so I had a lot of interaction with umpires, and I learned quickly if you're nice to them, you can get a call or two a game easy. So I was always very cool about it. Like if they blew one, I'd be like, hey, get it next time. Or if they made a great call, I'd be like, that's an excellent call. Yeah. I had conversations with first base umpires about my fucking socks, if you can believe it. I always would get the call when I needed it. So
yeah, I just don't. I think it's one of those things to where people will, assuming they will go to robot umpires in the next, let's say 10 years, just to be conservative, that people will immediately realize that they don't care about they're fighting for the human element or whatever. It's like, no, because essentially the umpire will have a thing in his ear that'll beep if it's a strike and it won't beep if it's a ball, something like that.
Yeah.
And if they sit there and argue with it, it's like, go argue with the inanimate computer object over there that's calling balls and strikes. I'm just sitting here calling like little stuff. Pull your picture.
I don't know if I want to go that route. Yeah, I know we brought him in. He's here.
Hello.
Mike has joined us.
My apologies for being a bit late.
That's okay.
What are we paying you for, Mike? Come on, man.
You didn't miss anything. We talked about the weather.
I'll tell you what. I will be here punctually every goddamn week as soon as the free Tostino rolls start showing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. But no, well, Mike, we're discussing robot umpires, and we talked about humidity and our disdain for it.
I mean, I'm living in Florida in August, so like humidity can just get fucked. It's like 90 degrees with 90% humidity outside. It's basically living in a hot swamp.
It's like living in a sauna. Like you're living in a sauna. Yeah, right.
It's but yeah, no, robot umpires. I'll tell you right now, it's a bad idea. It's.
Andy, show him that. I'll put the screen share. Show him this pitch again. I want him to see this because he doesn't know what we're talking about.
Okay.
Wait till you see this, Mike. You might change your mind.
It was from the Angels and A's game over the weekend, and this happened twice in 2 days from when I was watching, which I don't know why I'm voluntarily watching Angels baseball at this point, but it's on. I guess
I promise Chaos Blast 1000. We will get to your question.
We'll talk about hockey at some point.
Let's see what we got here.
Sorry, my dog is providing some bonus audio here. But
that's
so
all right.
Here's the pitch. There's no English on this or anything. It's just a pitch down the middle. Ball.
Oh,
what?
Right?
And look at the catcher.
That's the most absurd thing I've ever seen.
Look at the catcher's face. He's looking over like, are you fucking seeing this? Like, did I just see that?
Yeah.
Even the batter's kind of like, oh shit.
He's kind of smirking, like
I didn't fucking. Jason Kastner's like, shit, all right, man. He's like, he got 2 walks today. He's like, shit, all right, my day for walks, man.
Maybe he's hitting 205. Maybe that's why they gave him the pitch.
Maybe.
I don't know, man. That was horrible. That was just horrible.
And it's pretty egregious. And I think he does it again here on another pitch where the umpire just basically says, it's Jerry Meals here. That's a ball.
Wow, that was a ball too?
Yep. So he does this twice.
What is this guy's strike zone?
So here's a slow motion replay. The ball, beam of yellow laser light down the middle. Now look at this. Even the cardboard fans in the background are flabbergasted. There's the first one where it's just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, he didn't even frame it badly or anything.
No, you can't frame that pitch. It's perfect.
No, I think that's all there is to it. But I mean,
good God.
What a great uniform matchup, though, right?
Oh shit, yeah, that's a
beauty right there, man.
Right there. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that's the way it is. And I think Jerry Meals he's no stranger to bad calls. I'll see if I can find. There was yes. Oh, yes. Pirates fans know the name of Meals very well because of a play at the plate. It was a 19-inning game, and this was
I remember
2011. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and share it here so you guys can enjoy it with me. But this was, again, another bit of umpiring from the same person who just called those 2 strikes balls. And, of course, the play here at the plate slowed down. Bad quality. Okay, the editorial there from the fan. I'll see if I can find a better video of it here.
Weren't they in a playoff hunt at that point? And that game really hurt them, if I remember right.
Let me see.
Was that 2011? Maybe I don't. I remember that game being very important. And the
there we go.
Watch this. This is bullshit. I was watching this game, believe it or not.
So runner goes, and he had the perfect view.
What? How?
And so I'll just let it play out. So essentially, the runner is diving into home plate. Even look at the fucking the catcher. The catcher's like, no.
The catcher's like, the fuck is going on?
I mean, I get it from the perspective of an umpire. It's like, it's the 19th inning. We've been here all goddamn night. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. He's safe. Clinton Hurdle comes out there. He's got to rip his fucking nutsack off. Just like, he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm going to go to your house and burn your fucking house down, man. He was safe. See if they got a good like replay of the event here. So again, this umpire, perfect view. This is what umpires will be doing anyway, regardless of the robot umpire.
Oh my God, he's up by 3 feet.
Yeah, not even close.
Wow.
And it's almost like confrontational how Meals handles this too. So like he looks at the runners as safe, but then he looks right at the catcher like, tell me otherwise, dude.
Right.
Like proof. Like he never touches the plate until like long after, and it's not like he like blocks his path or anything.
Did we have replay at this point?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because that's certainly something that would have been overturned.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Andy's got a good point, though. A lot of these umpires, not only are they terrible, but they're crazy aggressive on top of it. Like Angel Hernandez is another one.
Yeah.
You look at him cross-eyed, he'll throw you out of a game. which is just ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous. And
Ego thing.
the thing about it too is that baseball umpires, as a rule, are the most accurate in all the sports because it's probably the easiest. It's not easy to call, but you don't have the speed that takes place in like an NFL or an NBA or an NHL game where you've got to be on top of everything like and lightning fast. You know, but they're really, really accurate. I mean, I think it was like 98% or something like that.
It almost seems like it's just part of the culture of being a baseball umpire where like you need to be aggressive and confrontational, like just to do the job. And I don't know, maybe that creates this thing where it's like, okay, split second decision, you make it. Even if the second afterwards you realize you've made a mistake, you just have to fucking own it.
Yeah, but you know what? A good umpire, and you've seen this, I'm sure you've all seen it. If he doesn't know if he's got a call, he will call the other three and go, I didn't get a good look. What do you have? And they will like go, you know what? We have him as safe or we have him as out. Good umpires will do that. Bad ones just go, fuck you. This is the call I made. And just like what's the guy in the Pirates game just did, and then look at you and go, I dare you to say anything. And you just go, well.
So, I mean, where would you, like, I don't know much about Jim Joyce, but Jim Joyce famously screwed up Galarraga's perfect game in Detroit with the last out of the game. And he, I think, had I don't know if it was a year later or sometime later in the season, I think maybe Galarraga's next start, he like did a public like apology thing where he came out and he was crying, you know. I mean, that's a little different because that's a first base umpire, but I don't know. There's the question of the human element of umpires, I feel like, is extremely overblown. I don't know why people are so defensive about it. I mean, and I'm curious if the next generation of umpires, the current younger generation of umpires, once they kind of move into their, you know, silver years or whatever, if we won't know any of their names because they'll just be doing a mediocre to good job, and we won't have to sit here and worry about a Cowboy Joe West or a figure like that who's trying to just, like, you know, you say, look at my big dick. What do you think about that, manager? You know, it's just people like that who these really aggressive.
Well, like you say like the younger generation of umpires, but like it's baseball umpires. What's the younger generation? Like fucking 50?
No, we were looking at this.
We're talking about that before you came in.
Yeah, there was a study done last year.
It just seems like in my mind, at least, a baseball umpire, like your standard baseball umpire, is like 60 years old and just curmudgeon-y.
Well, the reason that is, Mike, is because the umpires are all old, because we don't know any of the younger umpires because they're doing a pretty good job. Even statistically, that's correlation or whatever it is. There's some sort of pretend I said something really profound and intelligent. Just, you know,
no, it's okay. I got the gist of it. It's good.
Mike, I wanted to get your take, and we briefly mentioned this earlier.
Okay.
Sorry. I know I swear to God, we're going to get to the tortured fan bases question. I swear. I'm sorry.
We're going to talk hockey at some point. I mean,
oh yes.
Just think about it like when you're on hold. When you call a radio show and you're on hold for like 3 segments, it's kind of like that, basically.
So what's the question? What we
so
got?
I imagine you heard is Tom Brennan. Brenneman.
Yeah. Speaking of, my segue was going to be, speaking of bad calls in baseball.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is apparently not his first screw up in this nature, but I imagine you heard what he said. He used homophobic slur with a hot mic. And then awkwardly apologized while a home run was hit. And I love that the actual like call of his apology. It's like, I'm very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As here's a drive to left field by Castellanos. It'll be a home run. You know. So I was just curious. Like I wanted to kind of get everybody's take on that. And I mean, this happens from time to time. This just occurs in the nature of broadcasting, but rarely is it ever like. I mean, he put some sauce on it. Like he wasn't fucking around with that stuff.
Well, I think, I mean, Jesus, there's my initial thought on this is probably going to upset some people. Because my initial thought is he's a jock sniffing idiot from the Midwest. What did you expect?
Hey.
No, I mean, no, that's what I mean. Like, it's so easy to like take. Because like even I'm not happy with that because it's very stereotypical and it paints in a very broad brush. But you know, at the same time, like Cincinnati ain't that far away from St. Louis, and we know
it's a sniff away from Kentucky.
And
okay.
like So it's just and like the best fans in baseball, over in Card Nation, threw a hissy fit when like the fucking Cardinals had like a Pride Day on Twitter or something. So like I don't know, but okay, so. I mean, the dude's a fucking homophobe, and this whole like, oh, I pride myself on being a man of faith. It's like, go fuck yourself, because I guarantee you that you fucking probably use your faith to argue why people like me shouldn't be allowed to marry. So I don't have anything. I don't have anything positive to say about the guy. Fuck his fake apology and fuck him. And I hope he's never on TV again.
The thing about his apology that I didn't truly get, like, everything you said, Mike, is true, where it's just a whole bunch of bullshit that he stands behind, but he tried to put out there that he didn't know what the word meant.
That was the part that
the origin of the word.
He didn't realize that it was a gay slur. He didn't know what it meant.
So maybe he was trying to say that Kansas City was like the cigarette capital.
I was just going to say, back in the 30s, I suppose they used that word.
No, like what?
The bundle of sticks.
Kansas City, and all you see are bundles of sticks. Yeah.
So St. Louis is the bundle of stick capital of the world. Is that how it works? Is it?
Maybe he knows something we don't. I mean, he probably is like, oh, there's a warehouse down there. I mean, they're just loaded with bundles of sticks. I mean, I've been all over the country. I've seen it's
I just meant to say they smoke a lot in Kansas City.
And I mean, it was mentioned that it was positive that maybe he was just referencing Blazing Saddles, but like it'd be one thing if he said it in the nature of Slim Pickens. He didn't. Yeah. He said it with like, you know what? I'm going to take this slur. And I mean, he put some cinnamon on that, man.
Here's the thing. I say this as someone who is a Blazing Saddles fan and a Mel Brooks fan. I love Blazing Saddles. Would I ever go on national TV and quote Blazing Saddles? Fuck
Hell no.
I will watch Blazing Saddles. I will laugh at Blazing Saddles. I will laugh at that line. Will I say it on TV? No, I'm not.
Here's a real simple solution to this. This is something I learned in college 1,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think of all the things that all my professors ever said, this one stuck with me the most. Never say anything into a live microphone that you don't want the whole world to hear. Simple as that. And that's not excusing what he said. I mean, for any measure, no. But part of the problem is these guys. Well, first off, that's just, I don't even understand why you would say something like that. I mean, does anybody even use that word anymore except for the stereotypical idiots that Mike referred to earlier? I mean, come on. I'm old. I grew up in an era where that word was a lot more freely used than it is now. It took me I never used it that much to begin with. I'm not going to lie and say I never said it, but never in a derogatory way because I never gave a fuck, to be honest. But, it took no effort for me at all to just stop saying it. It was that easy. Same with any other slur that's no good anymore. You just go, oh, that's that.
I mean, that's the nature of ego in the media. I mean, these people. I mean, not that Tom Brenneman's like a huge deal.
He's a pretty big name in baseball broadcasting.
Right. And I mean, he's always thought that he's a much bigger deal than.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he's a poor man's Joe Buck, is what he is, right?
Well, yeah, really he likes to put himself up there on the level of like like Jack Buck and Vince Scully and
he's got
Ernie Harwell,
who was also a longtime broadcaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's always had the better than you attitude.
And I'd be willing to bet money his dad, Marty Brenneman, never said that ever. It just doesn't. Maybe he did. I don't know. I mean, he's an old school guy, but
it's exactly like you said, Greg. Like especially for somebody that's been in the business as long as he has, assume everything you say is being recorded,
right?
Because even if it's in a commercial break, it's still probably being recorded.
Well, how do you think we get a lot of these? How do you think we get all these videos? I mean, look. I remember when I first started working in TV, we did a lot of baseball games at Old MacArthur Stadium in Syracuse, which was right next to the airport. And every time a jet plane flew into that airport or flew out, one of the cameras was taken away from the game and put on replay. You want to know why? Because the plane might crash and we wanted it on video. Do you think for a second that producers and directors out there aren't recording everything that happens just for a moment like this? Because look, it's not a great moment, but it's something that's going to go viral, and you all know it.
Well, and this wasn't even dead. Like this wasn't in the commercial break that they like leaked. They came back from the break a few seconds early. he said that and then went right into his ad read for what he was supposed to read when they came out of the commercial.
Well, like I said, it was a word that flowed freely in the early '80s. I don't remember when when I stopped saying it. It was a while ago, but it's just one of those things. Like, look, Tom, I understand that things change and all that, but it's not that hard to drop something from your vocabulary. It really isn't.
Well, but again, he would tell you, Greg, that he didn't know. He didn't know what it meant. He never knew it was a bad thing to say.
When we were 22 or whatever, and calling each other that, thinking it was just like ha ha ha, we didn't realize how hurtful it was. Well, guess what? We figured it out, and we went, well, we probably shouldn't do that anymore. That's simple.
So there's actually a very just to add some levity and just to provide a bit of antidote from Mike's life. When I came out of the closet, about a week after I came out of the closet to my friends what ended up happening about a week later, I was over at one of my friends' place, and we were just having a night, just drinking and hanging out. Anyway, one of my friends went to the kitchen to get another drink, and another one of my friends, about maybe 30 seconds later, got up and followed him. And I noticed after a while that they were, still in there after more than a few minutes. So I went up and walked in on them having the kind of profound conversation only drunk 20-somethings can have.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Where basically it's like, so keep in mind, like I had just come out of the closet to to these guys, a week ago, and one of them was like, like we should stop using the F word, and it's like out of respect for Mike, and then like the other guy, my other friend goes, it's like, but no, if we change specifically because of him, then he'll know it's like we're treating him different, and we shouldn't want him to feel that way. And it was like, And it was like, I love both of you. Like,
well, I mean,
Mike, you know just as well as I do that we grew up in the generation where
that's gay. Yeah.
Well, right, we didn't know that gay was a bad thing to say until Hillary Duff made a commercial about it. Remember?
Right. Well, there was a PSA campaign that wasn't not even 10 years old. Yeah. They were like, hey, stop doing that, because I just to put a pin in that for a second. I had to delete a comment from one of my friends on Facebook because I do this thing. Like when I'm riding my motorcycle, I got busted one time because I took a picture of the screen on my bike, and it had like a song that was not a biker song. So now I do this thing where I play Wheel of Music. Well, anyway, one day I got I think it was Coldplay, and she goes, "A great band, but really kind of gay on a bike." I'm like, you can't fucking say that. Come on.
It is actually absurd, and I know. I know Zach can confirm this, and probably Andy too. But like back when we were kids, like middle school, high school, like we would call things gay, and like in retrospect, it doesn't even make any sense. Like as like it's like oh. It's like, oh, you like the Habs, oh, that's gay. It's like,
yeah.
It's just the word of the time to like it's basically stupid or dumb,
We all played Halo online, right? You're just like, oh, that's so gay, man. Oh, they're raping me out there.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like
that's not you take that now and you can't do that, but that's just what we 13-year-olds on the internet did. We talked about it last week. Young people on the internet do dumb things, and this was young people in real life doing those dumb things out loud.
I mean, go ahead.
But again, bringing it back to kind of what Greg said, like again, once we kind of, as we grew up and we realized, we realized what the world was like. It's like, oh, that we should not say that, and then for the most part. And to the point, like again, I teach high schoolers, like, and the amount of times that gay or the F word or anything like that is used among kids today, it's like drastically. Nobody says it today.
That's what I mean. It's one of those things where it's just I don't think that when we said it back in the old days, we said it with malice. It was just like calling something gay. It was just a thing that you said. Yeah, but you figure out that that's hurtful, and it's there are people that are on the other end of that, and you go, well, wait a minute, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that's just going around saying hurtful, spiteful. Just to give you another good idea, we were there's a little I don't know what you call it anymore. Like the outdoor places that serve ice cream. I don't know what they're like. It's like a Dairy Queen, but like a local one.
Sure.
We were down there last week, and there was this calico cat that was following me around. And I was trying to catch it to get it. It was trying to cross this busy street, and I'm like, "Come on, let's go this way." And I'm like leading it across the street, and this old guy, it's like probably 10 years older than me, looks out of the window and he goes, "Aren't you supposed to just chase pussy on Saturdays?" Yeah, and I just looked at him like, "Really?" Yeah, so it's some people never grow out of it. I guess
give him credit for being clever and on the spot. Like that guy had.
That's he saw you chasing that cat and he had that ready to go. That is. Yeah.
He probably waited his whole life to deliver that line.
I'm going to see someone chasing a cat one day, and when I see it,
he tells that story at the bar every night, and nobody listens.
This guy was like walking this cat across the street, and I said, and then nobody reacts and goes,
he said it. He's told it so many times that people are like, yeah. You saw the guy with the cat. All right, we get it.
Have another drink, Bill. Here you go.
But my point, I think, is that for the most part, things kind of disappear because it was bad enough that he said it, but my girlfriend was there. There were people that were like there that would have been my mom's age if she were still alive. There were young girls there, all within earshot of this. And I just looked at him like mortified. And I just went, "Really? Like, did you really just say that?" And he's just like, and I'm like, "Go fuck yourself, dude." Yeah. But it's just I don't know what the point is, but I had to share that.
To loop back to the actual Brenneman situation, I do want to give props to the Reds though, because this happened was this at the end of the first half of the doubleheader, and they took him off for the second half of the doubleheader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that's how that worked. They worked pretty quickly. It wasn't like it happened. He called the rest of the game that day and then went home. And
he's suspended.
No, he's suspended, and then he's suspended from the Reds, and then Fox has dropped him from the NFL coverage this fall. So
I just don't see how you could.
And again, he's been a guy that's been around a long time, but who knows if he'll come back?
Well, you know what?
I mean, this.
Go ahead.
This also kind of. If we're ready to get off this does kind of transition to hockey a little bit too.
Wait, I got a question from Mike before we move on from this, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you're in a position better than the other three of us. Should Tom Brenneman be canceled for this, or should he just be suspended? What do you think should happen?
I mean, honestly, it's really tough because I think that, and I'm going to say something that's perhaps a bit spicy and a bit controversial, especially among people my generation. But
fire those takes, Mike. Fire.
It's like I kind of think cancel culture has gotten a bit out of hand, and so it has become the case where like so many people have had their like livelihoods completely shut down because of dumb reasons. That I think that when you talk about something like this, where it actually is a legitimate reason, there is that instinct to say like, "Oh no, give him another chance," just to try to cancel out the cancel culture, as it were. But I think in this case, to be perfectly honest, like this guy like fucking knew what he said. He said a slur. You treat it like you would any other slur. If this dude said the fucking N-word, like, guy's career's done, and I think the same should be held here. So
that's a fair point.
I'd say, yeah, like let him, hopefully, given how long he's been around, if he's saved his money, he shouldn't have to work again. If he hasn't saved his money, well, then fuck him. That's not my problem. As cruel as that sounds, but I don't know. I honestly, no, I don't think he should. I don't think he should come back.
The apologies. It's rough because this happens so often, and we are definitely in the most like volume turned up era of cancel culture maybe that's ever been. And it's difficult to kind of like, if you look at his apology, it was platitudes. It was basically like, I fucked up and I'm sorry, I got caught. Like,
yeah, really, that would have been my argument. It would really greatly depend on the apology,
right?
Like,
so,
yeah.
But if these people, because I mean these happen, people make mistakes, famous or otherwise. If he had come out and said, "Listen, I'm from an older generation. I was just a little bit, I screwed up. I'm a product of my era, and I'm trying to get better, and I'm sorry." to any and everyone who I offended, and basically the honesty and contrition of an apology goes so much further than like checking the boxes of an apology.
Right,
like
exactly. I agree.
The stale apology. Because people can read that. You know, people can read the humanity in your words and your face.
I think people appreciate honesty too. Like, you just came out and said, "Look, like you said, like I'm an older guy. I tried to get better, but sometimes this stuff slips out, and I'm sorry." Then there's definitely something to be said where it's like, people fuck up. But
even to say it slipped out is still, let's give him way more credit. That was like a sculpted comment that he was using to get somebody in the booth to have a giggle or. Like, what are you expecting people to say in response to that? Like, I'm sure he looked to his broadcast partner, was like, "This is one of the blank capitals of the world," and the guy was probably next to him was like, "Sure thing."
He reacted.
Tom.
I'm sure that everybody reacted like I did when that guy made the comment at the ice cream place. I was just like, "What?"
Just kind of
and that was nowhere near as bad as this. And,
but hey, the other thing is, so he said that it's one of the capitals. So I want to know
the capital.
What are the other capitals?
I was gonna say he said one of. So I want to know. I just want to know because there's multiple. He clearly indicated there were many. So I just kind of wanted to give. It's like, well, where are the other ones? So we can't send you there. We'll just make sure we don't put those on the
Panama
schedule,
City, Florida. Definitely don't want to send them to Panama City, Florida. That's for sure. Disney World on certain days.
Oh, that's true.
Oh my!
So to transition the broadcasting fuck ups to the National Hockey League, thank God Mike Milbury has been sent home for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah,
because I mean this is the other end of the spectrum where we go from bashing gays to quote unquote straight problems, as it were. Mike Milbury, they were on the air. They were talking about some of these teams because it was while the Capitals were about to be eliminated. They were talking about the Islanders have been so focused. Maybe they play better in the bubble because there's no distractions. And so Mike Milbury said, "Not even any women here to disrupt your concentration," implying that these guys couldn't bear to concentrate on a playoff series if there were women just in the area.
It depends on the women, I suppose.
This, of course, is one of many things that, well, even in just the bubble alone, like some of these are a little bit more innocuous. Like when he got there, he took a picture of the CN Tower in Toronto and said that he was, happy to be there underneath the Space Needle. Seattle.
Okay. Good job, Mike.
During the 5 overtime game between Tampa and Columbus, he thought that maybe we should start any of these overtimes early and start playing 3-on-3. He's compared the Sedin twins in the past to Thelma and Louise, calling them the Sedin sisters.
Oh yeah.
He's advocated for headshots from Sidney Crosby, called PK Subban a clown when he was dancing on the ice, and anyway,
going back to what we were talking about with Tom Brenneman, I think too that your history has to play a role in whether or not you get. It's like with Mike Milbury. I mean, I've never understood the appeal of Mike Milbury. I really haven't. I just don't get.
Me neither.
He's not even like a Don Cherry where you go, okay, this has got real. You're watching Don Cherry either because you're an old curmudgeon who loves Don Cherry, or you're going, okay, this could be the biggest fucking train wreck I've ever seen in my life.
Like my friends and I, in the 2010, in late 2000s, 2010s, started Coach's Corner became appointment viewing for us, if only because it's like, what fucking bullshit nonsense is going to happen now?
Right.
And poor Ron McLean, who just had to stand there and try to navigate the disaster on a weekly basis. But
Don Cherry at least had the appeal.
He has that cachet. He's like, he's he kind of a clown, but he's an old curmudgeon-y kind of mascot sort of clown.
Anything that some Russian player can do, some guy in Ontario can do 10 times better. Type of thing,
exactly.
Yeah,
that was but Mike Milbury. My favorite Mike Milbury story involves
besides when he went to go beat a fan with a shoe.
Oh yeah. Well, that's classic. But no, the other one that comes to mind is I can't remember the other analysts involved, unfortunately. But basically, what happened was it was a playoff series between the Panthers and the Islanders. And I remember that the Islanders won game 1 by a pretty wide margin. And then the Panthers won game 2 in a shutout. And, they're talking about these two games. And someone asked, so, Mike, Roberto Luongo had a pretty poor game 1, but he pitched a shutout in game 2. What was the difference for him? And Mike Milbury's response was, well, he stopped more pucks in the second game. And it... Really?
This is also the same Mike Milbury that traded Roberto Luongo away from the New York Islanders at one point.
I have a trivia note with Mike Milbury, believe it or not. I think I can say something that none of you guys can say. I saw Mike Milbury play NHL hockey. In 1985,
was he just out there with a caveman club and a loincloth? Or?
He was playing for the Bruins, and it was like 85, I think. My first ever NHL game was between the Red Wings and the Bruins. And Mike Milbury, what I remember about him is that he did not wear a helmet because he was grandfathered in. That's how long he'd been playing at that point.
So are you implying causation? So like playing without a helmet?
I can't imagine it helped. I'll put it that way. But I thought about this. We were talking about like, oh my God, I've actually seen the guy play hockey.
Sure,
it makes me really old.
Well, I mean, it's part of his whole stick is the era he comes from. Like again, anybody that knows that Mike Milbury is a guy that beat a fan in the stands with his own shoe, knows the kind of guy that he's going to end up being on TV. And this is from other stuff that I found in this list. But in 2009, he kept using the term pansification during the playoffs when he talked about a ban on fighting. In 2012, he said that then Penguins coach Dan Bylsma should have, quote, taken off his skirt and gone over there during an in-game skirmish with another assistant coach. And even last week, when Tuukka Rask left the bubble for the Bruins, he went on this whole rant on TV like, "Oh no, nobody else has done this yet. You know, all these other guys are sticking out with their teammates, and this guy isn't." Well, it turns out that Rask went home for a daughter's medical emergency. So what do you have to say then, Mike? Again, to the league and NBC Sports credit, to an extent, NBC Sports said it was disappointed with Mike's comment. The National Hockey League said it condemned the insensitive comment, and so then he was just taken off the broadcast for the rest of the playoffs. He hasn't been fired yet.
Yeah.
Mike Milbury's apology was, "It was not my intention to disrespect anyone. I was trying to be irreverent and took it a step too far. It's a regrettable mistake that I take seriously."
My other favorite Mike Milbury story was when Mike Shanahan got named president of hockey operations of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Brandon Shanahan, sorry.
Yes, Brendan Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan was putting running backs in for the.
Yeah, sorry. So Brendan Shanahan named president of hockey operations of the Maple Leafs, and basically Mike Milbury was commenting on it on a panel, and he goes, Brendan Shanahan, he's never had to coach, he's never had to be a GM. He went straight from being a player to the upper office. He didn't need to prove himself. He's like, geez, I wish that kind of thing happened back in my day. I wish I had that path. And someone else just said, yeah, so did the New York Islanders.
I think maybe Mike Milbury comes from that, like, for whatever reason, when I read the comment of what he said, it almost sounded like, like he said, he was being irreverent or trying to use some dated forms of humor, but it just made me laugh. Like somebody probably listened to that and feels like only the most virile, sperm-filled hockey players make the playoffs, and in order to get the maximum performance out of them, they need to be like regularly drained. And so like Mike Milbury's like, yeah, they need to get some women in there just to drain those swollen balls on all the hockey players. I tell you what, when I played for Toronto, I mean, they had some sort of rig just pumping us out after every game. Like it was just, it's so caveman. And there's some guy that's probably the same guy who had Greg's pussy story there.
Right.
Just they're just sitting there clinking glasses at a bar. Like, that's right. That's exactly what they need to go get laid.
The other thing that stood out to me about Milbury during the playoffs, because I don't know why. Well, I know why. When Eddie Olczyk had to go get his cancer treatments, or NBC needed a lead color analyst, so they said, "Oh, well, sure, we'll turn to Mike Milbury for reasons I still don't understand." But during a lot of these games, like when defensemen don't go in there hard enough and hit somebody, he's used the term pussyfooting around a lot. And while that's not like derogatory on his face, but it's like, don't come on. Like,
I'm going to give him a pass on that one. There's no like. It's not the same use of the word pussy that it is with the
it's not, but
guy.
it's flirting around the edges. And again, for a guy with Mike Milbury's history, it's like, you know exactly what he wants to say. He's just not allowed to say it outright.
Yeah.
I just think, again, with the history that this guy has and the mentality that he has, I and thousands of hockey fans across the internet don't know why this guy still has a job.
Mm-hmm.
And
it truly is one of the great mysteries.
Yeah, I think if you take away the controversial stuff he said and just take it all out, I still don't know why he has a job.
No, again, like
he's not even a good analyst.
That's what I'm saying.
The first story I shared didn't actually have him saying anything offensive. His entire point was like, the game where Roberto Luongo pitched a shutout, he stopped more pucks than the game he lost. It's like, thank you, Mike, for that. Thank you for the insight your years of playing and team management have afforded you.
Well, maybe that helmet thing does have something to do with it.
That's very John Madden-esque, though. John Madden would grumble out the same. Oh, they scored the other points. I can't do my Madden anymore. It's been so long.
Brett Favre is a great football player because he knows how to play football.
Look, if you throw the ball,
Falcons have a good defense because they play good on the defense.
60 yards downfield. That's further than 40 yards.
To be fair, Madden actually was pretty good as an analyst. Right. He would say stupid shit sometimes, but he was really on top of it.
Mike Milbury is not likable.
No, that's what I mean.
Again, that's the thing when you have again a Don Cherry or a John Madden, right? Where it's like they say dumb shit, but there is still kind of this likability about it. Where you're like, that's funny but stupid. Whereas Mike Milbury, it's just shut the fuck up.
I can tell you that
just to throw this in because this doesn't really have anything to do with this specifically, but NBC Sports is also currently in the middle of dealing with a lawsuit from Jeremy Roenick, who says he's filed a wrongful termination lawsuit. If you remember, he got caught on a podcast. Well, he said it again into a live mic that he would like to have a threesome with his wife and the NBC Sports panel host, Patrick Tappan.
That's gotta make work awkward.
A little bit, right?
Said that if his very handsome co-host Patrick Sharp asked him to have sex with him, he'd have to think twice about it because he's a very handsome man. And so,
it's nice to know that he's being open and progressive about it.
Yeah,
it's not just the women.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
He got fired, of course, and then he is currently in the middle of a lawsuit against NBC Sports for wrongful termination due to infringing on his straights' rights.
Is that actually what he said?
That's incredibly disappointing.
It's just incredibly. Yeah, he's a former Blackhawk. I forgot about that.
That doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's plenty of. That's a whole.
His straight rights.
I
didn't know there was such a thing.
I didn't. Is it a straight right to? I have the right to demand sex from a coworker on a live microphone.
It was more of a suggestion than demand. I mean.
Well, and again, Mike, as you said, he didn't just suggest sex with one coworker. He suggested with another.
How is this a violation of his straight rights if he was also fired for propositioning sex from a male co-host?
I don't know. I'm just saying, you get the male co-host and the two women and an air compressor, some Crisco. You got yourself a party, man. Let's go. I don't know. I don't know why people say the things they do, especially in broadcasting. Zach, you know this as well as I do. You have to become like whatever, and not that I would normally say anything off the air that I wouldn't say on the air. I mean, I wouldn't be like dropping F-bombs and stuff like I do on here, but you've got to like be able to reel yourself in when you're doing a broadcast. It's that simple.
Yeah. And honestly, all of us could totally, if someday we were like all to agree, like, hey, let's just drop the swearing. We could all do it. In like that,
we could do it right now. We could just say we're not going to swear the rest of the show, and then I promise it would be fine.
Darn it!
But we're not going to say that today.
Dadgummit.
Anyway, should we get
Fiddlesticks.
so Chaos Blast has been here for almost an hour waiting for us to answer this question.
I'm talking about the actual hockey because poor Chaos Blast. Well, I will say apologies to Chaos Blast because if you remember when he asked us before what we thought our thoughts on the Dallas Flames series was going to be, I kind of said that maybe it's going to be boring, it's going to be slow. It ended up being a very entertaining series.
Chaos Blast from 12-foot Davis, Alberta, Canada.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for the Flames. I think they need to have kind of a referendum on their situation because in the last 10 years, they have 2 second-round playoff losses. 2 second-round playoff losses to the Ducks, and then back-to-back first-round losses to Dallas, and last year when they were the number 1 seed in the West to Colorado. So not a whole lot to do with a lot of talent up there.
I think they need to completely look at their coaching sitch. They need to look at management, and you know what? Maybe change the uniforms. Maybe this is just God's. Maybe this is God's way of punishing you for continuing to keep the stupid Reebok Edge uniforms. Over a decade after it stopped being necessary to have them.
Well, the team that comes to mind is the Ottawa Senators. When prompted the question, I don't follow like a lot of non-Hawks teams. Are the Senators like on the ups? I know their uniform situation is about to get a lot better.
No, they're bad. The Senators are just pretty bad.
The Senators, again, it wasn't so long ago that they were 1 goal away from the Stanley Cup Finals. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, they made a cup final and lost to the Ducks.
For the audio portion of the show, let me throw this question in here. It's a question for you guys. Most tortured NHL fan bases. Obviously, Toronto and Buffalo are probably 1 and 2, but who would you put at number 3? As a Flames fan, you could make a good case for them.
It depends on your definition of tortured.
Right.
Is tortured like the Leafs, where you're like bridesmaid, never the bride kind of situation? Or is it like a Florida Panthers situation, or where
it's just misery and emptiness?
Right. Like when I brought up the Ottawa Senators, Zach just kind of said, "Yeah, they're bad." I mean, again, when you're an afterthought, is that worse than?
To me, the Senators are the Texas Rangers of the NHL.
The Senators are very much an afterthought because the thing that needs to be the thing that needs to be remembered is that the original Ottawa Senators left Ottawa to play a year in St. Louis before folding in the 30s. And so for 60 years, Ottawa had no NHL team, and Ottawa
they were just laying dormant, Mike.
They're just laying dormant, right? So Ottawa sitting between Toronto and Montreal, basically became a city split between Habs and Leafs fans. So the Senators come back in the 90s, and everyone's excited, of course. And, it is a great moment because the original Ottawa Senators were one of those legendary teams of early professional hockey.
The Silver Sevens.
The Silver Sevens. They won all those early Stanley Cups. One of the sport's first dynasties. It's a big deal. But, you still have to come over, 60 years of entrenched Maple Leafs and Montreal Canadiens fandoms, and those are fandoms that don't die hard. Those are original NHL franchise, oldest teams in hockey fan bases. So the Senators, the Senators can't. We're kind of started off as the number 3 team in their own city. I mean, I have a friend from university. Who's from Ottawa, and early when I had met him, when we were just talking hockey, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're from Ottawa, so are you a Sens fan?" And he laughed. He's like, "Fuck no, I'm a Canadiens fan." The idea was absurd to him. So that's not a good starting point.
I think it depends because here's the issue with going with NHL teams. You're right in saying that Toronto and Buffalo are like the easy 1 and 2. And you're right to say that number 3 is where the real discussion comes in because we've had a lot of weights lifted off of people recently. Whether it's Ovechkin and the Capitals finally breaking.
You're right. The Blues,
Blackhawks having their dynasty, the Blues going through, the Kings even. They were a long team. So when you go to pure title droughts, besides Toronto and Buffalo, you have Vancouver, who hasn't won in their history.
No, but the time they made the last one, one of the greatest posts in CCSLC history, Zach, was your post about them scoring on the road. That was pretty.
Someone in Vancouver can score on the road.
Right. Well, they made two cup finals and lost them both. In pretty heartbreaking fashion both times. I'm trying to I think the only other team that you could legitimately throw in there is like the Sharks.
Yeah, I was going to say
Sharks. I would say probably my choice. Yeah,
I was going to say the Sharks just because like their playoff choking has become legendary, and it had already gained a reputation by the time the reverse sweep happened, but that really crystallized it.
Well, so I think there's one you're forgetting here, and it kind of is a strange circumstance. So I think you got to really look at the Coyotes. Because if you mix them with the Winnipeg Jets years, they have not been in their Stanley Cup Finals route is at 40 years, including the time with when they were the Jets. Yeah. The last time they had a series win,
it would have been it was one of the LA years. I remember they played LA in the.
It was 2012. They went to the Cup final.
The Western Conference Finals.
Right, but the team with the longest postseason series win drought, according to Wikipedia, is the Florida Panthers. They have 23 seasons without a postseason series win.
Really?
But that's the thing is when it comes to all these teams, I think the other thing that you have to go in when you call a fan base tortured is you gotta have to have a fervent fan base to have.
Right, I was gonna say with the Coyotes, it's kind of tough to say that because you know
who is really being tortured by the Coyotes' lack of success? Like 3 guys in Glendale.
Well, and the other thing to say for the Coyotes is beyond the playoff losses, they've been dicked around with ownership time and time again, and they've just never been on solid enough footing to say.
Don't they have ownership issues again? Like I read that carousel's starting up again.
No, I think they're okay for the moment. But I think when it comes to torture, there's a difference between a miserable existence and torture.
Yeah, right? I think the Sharks.
I would say like the Senators, the Panthers, the Coyotes. Those are just miserable existences.
Right.
Torture, I think, is something you could apply to the Sharks, to Vancouver, Philly, maybe at this point, because they haven't won since the 70s.
Oh, fuck them. Who cares?
But Philly hasn't had that. Philly hasn't had the dominant run like the Sharks have had. Like the Sharks have had. We joke about all of the playoff chokes, but the Sharks have had teams that have legitimately been like runaway Stanley Cup favorites, like going into the playoffs. And
and if you want to, and here's the thing with the Sharks too, if we want to buy into the theory that people put forth, you can tag on the Cleveland Barons, you can tag on the Oakland Seals, you can tag on stuff like that if you really, really want to.
I like it. I just like the idea that like the next 6 are all still around in some form. So it's like congratulations, Sharks. You can also be the Golden Seals. And
LMU brings up Minnesota, and I think that's valid as like a full city. But the problem is like the Wild have been consistently meh.
The
torture comes from losing the Stars in the 90s and losing those Cup finals right before that. But when it comes to being the Minnesota Wild, they've been kind of,
my favorite Wild story is, they're the best team in the league except that they lose the games.
Right. Their only problem is they don't score as many goals as the other team. It's like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the Wild to me have sort of become emblematic of NHL mediocrity. Like when I think of just like a mediocre NHL team, I think the Wild, because I don't know how many years in like the mid to late 2010s did we have to be like, oh, first round Chicago, Minnesota, yawn. Yeah. Like they just spun their wheels for so long. And you can make the argument that they never even, like, they're not the Sharks, where the Sharks had legitimately all-time great teams that all failed. But whereas the Wild were just a team that people overhyped because they had, 2-star players and a whole lot of nothing. Mm-hmm. So that is kind of different. I don't know. I think this is actually a really good place to discuss like who's the third most tortured fan base.
This is kind of interesting. I'm looking at here. This is the postseason appearance streaks, and the two teams who have the second. So the Pittsburgh Penguins have 14 straight years making the postseason. In that time, they've won 3 cups. The Capitals have 6. They're second. They obviously won the cup just recently. But then there's the Nashville Predators, who have made the playoffs 6 straight years and have nothing to show for it.
See, here's the part. That's the part where I say, I fuck the Purds. I don't care. Like.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm just gonna say, if the Purds are a long-suffering fan base, then they deserve it, because fuck their chants and fuck their stupid gold jerseys and fuck everything about them. Like,
and again, I think the difference is like, yes, the Predators haven't won anything either, and they've been fairly successful over their time, but they haven't kicked themselves in the dick the way the Sharks have over and over again.
Yeah, when the Predators choke away a 3-0 lead to like Winnipeg, then we'll talk.
So but the thing is with like Philadelphia, for example, the Flyers, and this may bend the argument in a direction you don't want it to go. Philadelphia has a Super Bowl trophy they can always go look at if they're feeling bad about the Flyers, and a World Series trophy.
Yeah.
Nashville doesn't have anything. But look at like the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're another team that just has been successful-ish recently, and they have nothing.
Very recently, though.
But now,
they were again in the miserable existence territory.
Yeah,
right. So, but hold on. So if Nashville, since they're obviously Nashville and Columbus both are very recent, the last 25, 30 years been around, they don't have the seasoned vitriol and bitterness of a long, like obviously it's hard to compare to like the Toronto Maple Leafs, which are just like the mascot of sadness. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. No, look. You're absolutely right. If I ever come across a Purds fan who's like, "Oh man, I feel you," I'm gonna punch him. I'm gonna be the one to kick him in the dick.
Like I gotta tell you, Mike, I watched all like hour-ish of the urinating tree recap of the Maple Leafs.
Oh god,
and,
I have not seen that yet, but
dude, it is worth every second. It is the most painful. He had to go. I mean, it's 45 minutes long. It's the longest video he's ever done, and he had to hustle through it year by year by year of just how poorly run the Toronto Maple Leafs have been and continue to be. And I got to say, I can't fathom. But again, like we've talked about my kinship as a Bears fan to the Maple Leafs, but like, no, the Maple Leafs, just by reviewing this, they are in hell. And I don't know how they keep having fans like keep coming back. It's hard.
They're the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's the same thing. The Cubs were the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Why would you still be a Cubs fan after years and years and years?
The Maple Leafs are like are one of the oldest teams in hockey, and they are in like the hockey capital of the world, and despite
which is funny that we even keep calling it that because of what the Leafs have done. But yeah,
well, no, but in terms of revenue made, in terms of fan, in terms of just sheer amount of youth players, Southern Ontario is the hockey capital of the world. Like,
yeah, but it's just funny when you have like Montreal, who won 24 cups, the most. And I mean, that was something that I was going to bring in later, but you do have some of these historic dynasty teams that haven't won in many, many years. Like your Montreals, like Edmonton, like Philly, like the Islanders, who are both playing each other right now. But I don't think they get to be in the, like, no one will ever allow them to be tortured because you say, well, just go look at the ceiling, you're fine.
Well, the thing is that the Leafs have 13 Stanley Cups. That's not nothing. That's more than every team that's not the Montreal Canadiens. But
the Canadiens last won in 93, right?
Yeah, the Canadiens last won in 93. The Maple Leafs last won in 67. So I think, like, at a certain point, the whole look at the ceiling thing doesn't work anymore because it's like, but like, again, the Canadiens have so many cups, and it hasn't been long enough since their last one where you can like legitimately say they're long suffering. Like if if the Montreal Canadiens make it to 50 years without a Stanley Cup championship, then yes, by all means, you can include them. But they're not.
And the Maple Leafs will still be at 87.
See, I would argue too, going back to what you were talking about with like the when you think, I think you could ask just about anyone anywhere to name 2 hockey teams, and my guess is that 9 times out of 10, the Maple Leafs are going to be one of those 2. Probably the Canadiens are going to be the other one. You know, and I'm talking in the United States, and especially in Canada. I can't imagine anybody in Canada doesn't know who they are. But in the U.S., I mean, when I think of the NHL, the first 2 teams that come to mind are those 2, Montreal and Toronto.
I mean, they usually play to kick off the regular season every year. It is like it is among the oldest rivalries in North American pro sports. And so you have this thing where and I mean that's sort of the problem where Southern Ontario is crazy for hockey. They love like that. It is insane.
The majority of the players in the NHL come from that province.
Yeah, it cannot be overstated that like how much Southern Ontario loves hockey, and so you combine that with the Leafs being the local team, and then you combine that local team having been there forever, and then you combine that with that local team having been there forever, being one of the founders of the league, and you combine that with a bunch of, past championships from a bygone era. And it is this recipe where, you will get fans day in, day out. And I mean, like, fuck, you think I haven't thought about it? It's like, what am I doing to myself? I don't need to put up with this, but no, like I've rooted for the Maple Leafs all my life. I'm not there. I grew up less than an hour outside of Toronto. I'm not gonna ditch the Maple Leafs. Come on.
Like, what about when Toronto gets its expansion team, Mike?
Look, you don't understand
that long rumored expansion.
Okay, Zach. You know how you feel about the Clippers?
Yes,
that's gonna be how I feel about the second Toronto expansion team.
But the second Toronto expansion team will actually win a title before the Leafs do.
Oh,
you know what? There's a 50-50 chance that it's gonna be one of two things. The second Toronto team, right? If it ever happens, which it won't, because the Leafs are going to demand like $2 billion in
at this point, it would have to be a relocation.
Yeah. So the only way but it's a 50-50 split, and there's going to be no middle ground here. Either they will win a title almost immediately and just add to the Maple Leafs sadness, or somehow, some way, they're going to be even sadder than the Maple Leafs. Like there's not going to be any situations.
So they'll be the White Sox to the Maple Leafs Cubs.
Well, no, I wouldn't even say that, because it's like, okay, like the White Sox won a World Series in 2005, right? Yeah. And everyone dunked on the Cubs. It's like, fuck you, Cubs. Like the White Sox got there first, but then the Cubs came back and won 10 years later, right?
Yeah.
And
plus, the White Sox had been it'd been 90 something years, but
who cared?
But
nobody. But
and then just to add insult to injury, they made the ugliest World Series rings ever. But I digress.
The point I was making though was like, and maybe Andy, you can correct me, but like, I get the feeling these days that there's not much White Sox Cubs animosity. It's just sort of like, whatever. Whereas like, with the second Toronto team, like, if there's ever a second Toronto team, it's not going to be a situation where like one team wins it and then like 10 years later the other team gets it, and then there's just sort of this mutual sense of
there is the peace type of thing, like the Godfather.
It's not going to happen. No, it's either going to be the Maple Leafs will go on a renaissance and just fucking own the city forever, or the other team will win almost immediately and the Maple Leafs will just be even sadder. Like, those are the only two options that can happen, because Toronto legacy. Vegas ratings bonanza. Jesus. Okay, well, see, that's another thing. Like the proposal that was being floated was like, we're gonna call it the Toronto Legacy. That's a dumb name, you dumb person.
Wow, that really is dumb. I want Maple Leafs with an X. I just let's just go all in, man.
It is actually kind of funny that that there actually is a historical precedence for another Toronto hockey team name. Like, if you really wanted to dig through like the early years of ye old professional hockey, there was a team called in the National Hockey Association, which existed before the NHL, called the Toronto Tecumsehs, and they were named after the Native American chief Tecumseh, who fought on the side of the British and the Canadians during the War of 1812. Tecumseh is considered like a national hero in Canada. He's considered like one of the he was a great military leader on our side during a war of ours. So there are a lot of places, schools named after him. Unfortunately, you can't do, based off of that team's logo, you can't do that because, one, no new teams dropping a native-themed logo right out of the bat in 2020. It's just not happening. And two, it would basically be the Blackhawks. So
if a team relocated to Toronto, I would nominate them as the Toronto Wanderers because they moved.
I know. You guys know it's got to be the Toronto like fighting rakes, because that way we have the
Toronto
leaves.
Blowers.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. Or like the landscapers or something, to where it's just like, like, man, hot shit. The Leafs are taking on the leaf blowers again. I guess leaf blowers, you wouldn't want to have that. That's
what Mike Milbury's warning against. He doesn't want there to be.
I just want to point out that Chaos Blast, we kind of just blew past his Flames, which, but.
They won cups in the 80s. They won one.
Yeah, Lanny McDonald, man, don't ever besmirch his name. But one team that he brought up that I don't know what this says about them, but we haven't even mentioned them, was the Buffalo Sabres.
He mentioned it.
Toronto and Buffalo are 1 and 2.
Yeah, but we talked like it was all. But I mean, like, but that's what I mean, like Buffalo.
But that's the thing with Buffalo. Buffalo's when it comes to torture, Buffalo has a lot of years of suck. And then they have the skate game.
Yeah.
And really their claim to fame is just being one of the teams that hasn't won. That's what I mean. They're right up there with Vancouver in terms of just we've been around for 50 years and haven't really gotten.
But I think what makes the Sabres more of a suffering team than the Canucks is that while both teams have made it to Stanley Cup Finals and both teams have lost Stanley Cup Finals, the way in which the Sabres lost their most recent Stanley Cup Finals appearance with Brett Hull's foot in the skate, in the crease. Sorry, that's the case where it's like, okay, you didn't just lose the Stanley Cup Finals, but you lost under like dubious circumstances. Which, when you combine it with other Buffalo moments, like say the what is it, the Miracle, the Tennessee Miracle, the Memphis Miracle, something like that. I don't know. The one with the Titans.
The Sabres get the benefit of having Bills on the other side too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in that case, like Buffalo definitely counts. I'd say it's Maple Leafs 1, Sabres 2, just because of. To be frank, like a lot of bad luck, and I think the misery years also add to Buffalo's, because you can look at the Sabres and let's look at the Sabres and the Coyotes. Both have had their years of misery, right? Both have had their years where they've been absolutely awful. But the difference is that Buffalo actually has fans who care.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
Buffalo's fans who care. And I think the Sabres have tried a bit harder. And still failed. Is kind of the especially their current iteration. They have had every opportunity to fix what they've done, and they just can't do it. Like they just can't get themselves back on the right foot anymore. It's kind of sad at this point. Like Buffalo is the new Cleveland in many ways. It's just
they finally got their uniforms right. At least, I mean, damn, those uniforms are.
Yeah, they look good, right?
I'm gonna give it to the Sabres. The new uniforms look sharp, and to all the haters on the CCSLC, come on, guys, get your head out of your ass. These are good. Shut up.
Speaking of uniform debuts, I wanted to show you this. Wanted your thoughts on this, rather. So, Greg, if you could, let me just share my screen here. This is the Depth Child.
Yeah.
So this is the LeBron James debuting the new Toon Squad uniforms. Just abominable.
As I said previously, bring back the Toon Squad throwbacks. Like this is okay. So this is why. This is why this whole movie is a bad idea. First of all, LeBron never should have done it because all LeBron's gonna do is be like, "Oh, right, I'm just an off-brand Michael Jordan." It's one thing to be like, "Oh yeah, I looked up to Michael Jordan. I wanted to be like Mike." And LeBron James is a very talented basketball player in his own right, probably the best player alive today. But at the same time, it's like, don't go out of your way to just do all the shit Jordan did. All right. Because like Jordan not only was probably better, but he was a cultural icon that LeBron James just isn't.
Right. But to be fair to LeBron, when Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan, it was a different world. There wasn't. I think it would be a lot harder for LeBron to become the icon that Jordan was at the time.
No, that is true.
The world's so different now, So
that is true.
Not that I agree with you. I think Mike's the bigger icon, better player, all of that. But I just want to give LeBron his fair shake that it's a much tougher gig now than it was then.
But like it's just a situation where it's like LeBron James, don't try to be Michael Jordan.
Right.
Try to be LeBron James, and doing a Space Jam movie is totally him trying to be like Mike. And
it's you have to look at it from a marketing perspective. Like Space Jam is an established intellectual property. Like Looney Tunes, same thing. Like the marketing is already, the machine is already there. It's prepped. It is a built-in fan base of and plus just millions of people with this mega nostalgia bias. But the problem is that we are in a world now that is obsessed with sequels and remakes. Yeah. And what happens is, almost universally across the board, I think there's very 1% have a positive return in terms of feedback. Almost every remake or 30 to 40 year sequel is considered just utter trash once people get their hands on it, because they realize once they see LeBron James playing with a bunch of Looney Tunes, it's I'd rather just watch Space Jam again. Yep. Because this is the same shit, only worse. And
as to quote my cousin. Bill Murray better be in this fucking thing.
Well, of course. I mean, he as long as he gets a mega paycheck for half a day's work and some golf, he'll probably get because that's Bill Murray's thing now. Is he shows up for a few hours, gets paid, and just makes up his lines. He doesn't read the script, and then he goes, then he leaves.
That's the Zombieland routine that he does now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got to call him at a special 800 number that he may get back to, he may not, and so yeah.
But I don't know this whole, but to bring it back to the uniform specifically, why? And I know this is going to sound really stupid because we get into serious uniform talk on this show, and we're all part of a message board where we get into serious uniform talk, and I'm going to start bringing up serious uniform talk about goddamn Space Jam. But the original Toon Squad uniforms were so good. Why did they change them?
Andy, can you track down an original Toon Squad set so we can do a little comparison here?
They're simple. They're classic. They're red, white, and blue. That's the thing too. Is not only did they win a completely new design, they changed the colors. So a full rebrand for the Toon Squad here. And I think the thing that's really dumb, we've said this before about basketball uniform design. Just be a basketball jersey. The hoops on the side, or it's not even hoops.
It's the cornucopia Looney Tunes thing. Yeah, whatever you call it. Yeah,
the big hole that they all go through to get to Toonland. You even see it in the mock-up that LeBron's wearing. It doesn't work. Because when you put tuck the shirt to the shorts, they don't line up.
This shit never lines up. I don't know why they do this.
Yeah, look at that. What is so wrong with the classic Toon Squad uniform?
I'm with Mike. Bring back the throwbacks, man. Always.
You want to know if the Toon Squad was a legitimate NBA team, right? This is the ill-fated rebrand that lasts 5 years before they go back to the classic one. As soon as this is a Cleveland Browns level clusterfuck.
Yeah.
This is Detroit Pistons stuff.
Oh yeah.
They went from red, white, and blue to teal to.
Also, do you notice? Something that the new uniforms have that the classic ones don't?
The Nike
Little
swoosh.
advertising there on the
Nike swoosh.
Yeah. And not even the swoosh. It's the Nike swoosh and then LeBron's company on the other shoulder.
What? Oh
What is
yeah,
that? LeBron's logo.
it's his like
Did,
clothing
did,
brand.
did they have the Jumpman for the original Spaceman? Was that?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No,
think
no,
so.
they didn't. Look at
I'm not, I'm not talking
That's
on
a
the
clean-
uniform.
that's a
but
clean
did it
uniform,
exist
man.
at that point?
Oh yeah, Jumpman's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
around a
no,
long
no,
time.
it was all over the shoes by that point. Yeah.
Well,
But I just want to say too that like just looking at these two side by side, LeBron is great, but there's only one Michael Jordan. Simple as that. Just looking at the two pictures, Mike's just like got just more cool, just
Yeah.
right out of the gate. Just
No, like you look at Michael Jordan, you're like, and you just look like, God, that guy's awesome. You look at LeBron
Yeah.
James, and it's like, who's this fucking tryhard? Like, get the fuck out. Like,
yeah, and LeBron's really, really good, but I'm just saying, just from a pure cool factor, Mike's just got him beat
Also-
by a mile.
Also,
Like-
the big thing, Michael Jordan owned the fact that he was bald. All right.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you see that time LeBron's hair started like
They're
falling
gonna
off?
they're gonna CG LeBron's hairline for
it's going to be a quarter of this film's budget is going to be this. Is going to be LeBron's CG hair.
yo, guys, I figured it out. They're
need
they're
to-
playing us.
They-
They're
we need to-
going to sell us. They're going to sell us two different uniforms. You want to know how they're gonna do it?
Yes.
They're going to wear this in the first half of the game. They're going to suck. They're going to be down by 50 or whatever they were in the first Space Jam. And instead of drinking Mike's secret stuff, the water,
Mhm.
Michael Jordan or somebody will come out and be like, "Hey, what about these new threads? They'll give us the strength to do it like we did last time." And then they'll put on the new jerseys, and then they'll go
So
win
it's,
the
gonna,
game.
so it's gonna be Mighty Ducks 2 all over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What did Carlos Boozer do here? Is that like
Well,
just a coat of paint on his
Yeah,
head or what?
this is a preview of what to expect from the next Space Jam, where like LeBron will have this horribly overly done. Yeah, the Carlos Boozer hair is absolutely legendary. Like it was such a moment.
Like
shoe
I
polish on his head.
don't get it. Like the greatest basketball player of all time rocked a bald head. Why are these guys so afraid of going out there bald?
There was video or a picture somewhere where LeBron, like his hairline came back and then it's sort of falling out during the game.
Well, no, it's hilarious because like what will happen is it'll be like LeBron James in a press conference before a game, and you can clearly see he's got a receding hairline, and then like he comes up for the game and it's like a full head of hair.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck happened, man? What are you doing?
The other thing that LeBron does that
look
is
at
always funny to
that.
track is, yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, I mean, look, there are guys who did that. Like Wayne, I know you guys don't necessarily follow this as closely, but Wayne Rooney for Manchester United famously had a really bad receding hairline, and then he went and got implants, and it looked fine, and people kind of made fun of him for it, but he looked 1,000% better, so they ignored it. Like, just own it and do it.
Well,
There's the other thing LeBron did that was always funny was in the early stages he just kept trying to like move the headband higher and higher on his head. And so like to try and cover it up, it's like, but we see that moving, so we know what's
Did Corey Perry do something like this, or like he refused to?
Well, no, Perry just wears a helmet.
Yeah, well, no, but like at one point, like he was hanging on to like the scraps that he had left before.
Oh,
he
you mean
just finally...
Getzlaff?
Sorry, yeah, Getzlaff. Yeah.
Oh, Getsy. He went to its dying day. He tried to spike what little hair he had left on his head, and it was just like, God, you got 3 of them left up there.
Do you remember when Scott Van Pelt did that on ESPN, where like his hair was just falling out at a remarkable rate, and at one point, really the only hair he had on his head was like this little swoop that like kind of he like had curled up in the front. I mean, he looked just ridiculous. And finally, he's like, "Fuck it, man! I'm just gonna shave the whole thing."
But, this anecdote that I'm reminded of actually is relevant to Space Jam because I have a feeling the same thing's going to happen. You know how Waterworld is notorious for being, like, massively over budget?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the only reason, but one of the reasons is because that movie was made around the time that Costner's hairline started to recede. And he couldn't deal with that. And so because he had some producer rights on the film or something, like, he insisted that they CGI his hairline in every scene he was in. And like that ballooned the fucking. Oh,
yeah, the headband. Yeah.
I love the rear headband there. It's like a.
It's just so strange because like LeBron James, part of his motivation for this is clearly he wants to be like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan owned the fact that he was bald and became like one of the most famous people on the planet. Like
MJ did, Kobe did. Like a lot of these guys do it.
Shaq
Mark Messier did it. Shaq did it. Like
Mark Messier Mark Messier owned it and looked like a goddamn Bond villain holding that Stanley Cup, bald, laughing like Blofeld. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, that's hilarious, guys. LeBron.
I have almost no doubts that they'll try to milk us for 2 jerseys out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're a real team.
It's the same fucking thing that like the Brewers did for the longest time, where it's like, no, we're gonna wear our ugly uniforms, but also have the throwbacks so you can buy both, and then it's gonna be like that. It's like the Toon Squad can't commit to a look. All right,
I'm just saying, you put these 2 guys on the court in their prime, and you know the guy on the left's going to hang 40 on the guy on the right just by looking at the 2 of them.
Oh yeah,
it's just unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, that's those are bad. Well, they got a little bit of a 70s thing going there too, Zach, with the stripes on the side, like the Pacers and the Bullets did, and the Hawks.
And I know it's a movie, so they'll probably be able to make it look okay, like that it's not a problem. Like they can CGI the hoops to look fine.
Oh, I don't know if would they bother with that. That's a lot of money just to
no,
line up something that only people like us are going to notice.
Come on,
like what's this? I'm curious to see what this is. Is that Daffy Duck's face or something there? Is there a Warner Brothers logo? I'm
sure it's just a hole, like it is on the actual like.
Like is it like a hole? Like you can see like his skin. That'd be weird.
There's always somebody in the middle though, right? There's always somebody. I've never seen the logo without like one of the characters
in the middle because
he comes out of it.
Yeah,
you got like.
I mean, you remember the original Space Jam when Michael Jordan gets sucked down the golf hole and he's going through that underground tunnel and he hits the thing that looks like that and then splooshes through into Toon World.
Okay, so I got a question. I don't know if anyone knows this or not. Who are they playing?
Oh, there it is without the logo. Okay, without anybody.
Because it was the Monstars squad in the first one.
Right. Well, you would have to think that they would be coming back. Also,
so what NBA players do they steal talent from this time?
And which other NBA guys are going to be in it?
Oh, they I think they've already released like a list of who's going to be in it.
Let's see.
Oh no.
Yeah. Don't let Russell Westbrook be a part of it. Nobody will see the ball.
I think he has been. Okay, so we got Anthony Davis.
Okay.
Damian Lillard.
Well, there's some CG money. Fix that dude's eyebrow. Would be great.
Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving.
I was going to say Damian Lillard. I don't know. It just seems like something he would do. That dude's been balling from what I understand.
Players will also be involved.
Oh, okay, yeah. Diana Taurasi and a few other WNBA players. Kyle Kuzma, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson. Whatever. Again, like it doesn't even come close because the original Space Jam had like the Olympic All-Star team.
Yeah.
On the basically the super team from Team USA making up the roster, and you had I'm assuming Bill Murray, but he'll still be involved in there. Like it's a who's who. But again, like Don Cheadle is supposed to be one of the bad guys. I assume he won't be the bad guy.
I assume he'd be a voice.
Well, right. He's gonna be, but
unless there's some like way that humans have worked their way down to the Toon area and like we're trying to take it over and milk it for all it's worth or something.
Oh God! I just realized what's gonna happen. I just realized the plot. This is gonna be a fucking 80s movie where Don Cheadle is like a property developer who's made his way into Toonland and he's gonna like turn it into condos, and the Toon Squad has to play his team for like to save the rec center or something.
Well, here's my question, dude. Do the Looney Tunes not play like baseball or anything?
Yeah, why is it always basketball?
Like they can't play like
if you do a Looney Tunes baseball version of this, you would have to make it a mini series because the game would take so long.
But okay,
and as already evidenced, Bugs Bunny is great at baseball.
Yes.
But wasn't the whole but in the first one, didn't they establish that it was basketball because the aliens, the Monstars, were like really short at first, so they thought that it would be an easy win. Yeah,
right. That's why they did the first time, but that doesn't explain why they're going to do it again.
Oh God!
I'll show you who's not going to be in the movie.
Poor
Lola Bunny, because instantly the entire furry community will be like horny.
Oh my God! It's like a porno movie for them, man.
Please bring Lola Bunny back. Please bring her back. Oh God. Oh God.
Hey,
Oh Lord!
Don't call her doll.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's no success for this project. I mean, like you said, regardless of the plot, that'd be kind of funny if like the mission was to save Cleveland and give them a championship, and like then leave. Like that'd be funny if like no. What if Kevin Durant is in it and he starts out on LeBron's team?
Oh, Kevin Durant is on.
And then he
Right,
switches to the Monstars.
Right. So initially they lose to the Monstars, and then Kevin Durant's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna like let the aliens."
The next step in my journey, the player tribute, he's wearing a Monstars jersey.
Yeah.
They can't play the Monstars.
He's not self-aware enough to do that. Like
I think you're right, Mike. I think this might be like a proper development movie. Like they can't be playing the Monstars again. Like that.
No.
Then it would be like, oh, we really didn't have an idea. We just thought put LeBron in the old movie.
No, like it's got like I don't know. Like the idea of like if Don Cheadle just like playing a human villain. It's got to be a property development plot, right? Like that's the only thing that makes sense.
And he's got to have a moment of redemption at the end where he's like, "I was misled" or whatever. Like I was innocent. I'm going to help you guys now. Like I'm on your side now. I've turned the corner.
Is he going to be? You know what? Fuck it. Just have him be War Machine. War Machine is trying to destroy Toon World.
It's part of the MCU, actually.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? Oh damn! Totally lost my train of thought.
But no. This thing's gonna be this. Okay, this thing's gonna be. I already know how this is gonna go. Like this movie is going to open, right, and then a bunch of people are gonna see it, and the consensus is gonna be like, kind of sucked. It was fine, I guess. And then you're going to have a deluge of fucking internet videos of picture with thumbnails of angry white dudes going like the reasons why the new Space Jam is awful, and then the whole we won't be able to talk about Space Jam without hating each other. So that's how
probably. Well, it's par for the course these days.
Well, speaking of movies, if I don't know how much longer we want to go, but
well, we're already past 90 minutes. We should probably wrap it up pretty quick.
Sure.
Well, did we have any thoughts of the DC offerings over the weekend?
I'm gonna say this
Batman trailer.
So I'm gonna say I loved the Batman trailer, and
I have not seen it. I did not know it was available.
We talked about this, I think, on the show before when Joker came out, Zach, about how like people were saying it's like, can you actually put Joaquin Phoenix's Joker up against a Batman, because that movie was just so fucking grounded in reality. Honestly, given what I saw out of this trailer, if the movie is in any way actually accurately reflected by this trailer, I think you could put Robert Pattinson's Batman up against Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I think it can happen.
They've already said it's not going to happen. They've already said.
Yeah, they said that this is in a separate universe. But the thing that does make you think that maybe it could happen is the other thing that came out was the Flash movie is officially going to be multiverse with.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's gonna show up.
Michael
as
Keaton's
89 Batman. Yeah.
Batfleck
Really?
Show back up. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Are they gonna get Christian Bale as Batman? Come on.
No, I don't think they're gonna go that far. But the thing I love about this Batman trailer is it looks pretty brutal. I love the little fight thing they get in there, and instead of him saying "I'm Batman," it says "I'm Vengeance," which is
straight out of the animated series, by the way.
Which is great.
I am Vengeance.
But like the stuff where like they show a little bit of the Riddler clues and like the whole crime scene setup, it makes me finally feel like they've said it all along, but I didn't really think they were going to. This is finally going to truly be Batman as a detective.
Mm-hmm.
As like following the clues and doing the paper trails and doing the whole thing of what makes Batman the world's greatest detective.
He's like doing his taxes, like they really it gets really grounded. Like he's like getting his oil changed.
The thing that I came away from it as far as the Riddler goes is my first reaction was, damn, Riddler went full Saw. Like
somebody I saw refer to it as like Seven with Batman.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought is that, like, again, if this trailer is actually reflective of how the movie ends up, like this could do to the Riddler what the Dark Knight did for the Joker in terms of like completely fucking reinventing the character.
Slow down, please. I can't tell you how many fucking comments I've already read in regards to this trailer where it's like Academy Awards, anyone? And it's just like no, just stop. Because what you're doing is
this movie's going to come out at this point. So
well, no, I know, and obviously hype is there. And everyone's excited. It looks really good, but just because it wasn't just complete shit doesn't mean you instantly. Because basically the bar is set now to where it's like, if this movie doesn't come out and they don't have all this stuff, they don't win all these awards, then it's completely bullshit. Like it is at its heart, it is a comic book movie. You might get lucky and get a great performance from somebody in there that wins you an award, but you need to slow the fuck down and just let your expectations settle, because these people are just looking to torture themselves and to get pissed off because this thing isn't like the greatest thing. Like they basically want the Dark Knight. They want every fucking movie to be the Dark
you know what?
Knight.
With Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight, that was like Sully landing the plane on the river. You're going to get it 1 in a million fucking times. It's simple. I mean, that's just the only way to put it. He was just off the charts. That was a tape measure home run that you're never going to see again. Right. So if you're expecting that, you're going to be disappointed every single time, because that was just a fantastic performance.
And we've gotten 2 now, because you get the Heath Ledger performance, you get the Joaquin Phoenix performance. Both great.
Both won Oscars.
But even when it comes to like nominating somebody from this movie, you saw the movie has been 25% filmed before they shut down. So they showed you basically like everything they have on film, which is not a lot. It looks great. Yeah, it gives me great hope for what the rest of it's going to be like, but you don't know what the hell this Riddler is going to be. I don't think a Batman could ever be an Oscar-winning performance.
Well, not only that, but let's be honest. Short of the Dark Knight trilogy, DC's track record not the greatest. Well, and they made some trailers.
I thought Wonder Woman was pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right, but I mean, when you compare it to like a Marvel film, you go, "Oh, well."
I thought Aquaman was fun,
but
the best thing about Aquaman is that Jason Momoa rides Harleys. That's it.
Yeah, Aquaman was fun.
So the Riddler's played by Paul Dano. Paul Dano is excellent. He's been in There Will Be Blood. He was great in Prisoners.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that like I don't know his name like offhand. I think you see his face, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen him in.
Oh, he's that guy.
Yeah.
Let
me pause this here. This seems like we could have a good discussion. Why don't we hold
this
over for next week? Yeah, so let's keep this one in the holster for now. So let's wrap it up. We're way past our normal 90 minutes here. Thanks everybody for watching and tuning in. We'll be back again next week to do it all over again. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasting is sold. We'll see you next time.
Later.